Okay, so I'm in the Department of Mathematical Sciences, and today I'm going to tell you a little bit about some computational modeling that we're doing and kind of what computational modeling is. So I work with a lot of different biological collaborators, and we have this data, and one of our main goals is to understand mechanisms and what's going on. And to do that, we've worked on a number of different biological applications, and what I want to point out is that they're all very different. But as a mathematician, we can step away from all of the biological complexity and think about just kind of some precise ways to describe how things are moving, how they're behaving. So mathematics provides this kind of way to describe all these different processes all under one language. And what I'm going to do is tell you a little bit about one kind of case study that I've been working on, and it's all about sperm. So here is a curious little movie, and what you can see is this sperm is beating very erratically, and it's called having asymmetric bending of the tail. And I had a bio-collaborator who approached me and was basically like, I don't really understand kind of what the purpose of this is. She had done some knockout studies, and she found that if it just bends kind of normally or symmetrically, it is not able to reach the egg. When it beats like this, and I'll go back again, it's able to reach and fertilize the egg. So what we wanted to start doing is figuring out what is the appropriate way to model this, and could we answer the question of why is this motility pattern very necessary? So as a modeler, I have some crazy equations up here, but what I really want to emphasize is that as a modeler, right, we have this framework, and we have all of these terms, but really there's very physical meanings to each and every one of them. So here I have a little kind of simulation at the top, and this is our computational model of our little swimmer. Its tail is generating forces. That goes into kind of the model equations with the big F with the purple around it. As this tail moves and kind of generates forces, it's pushing on the fluid. What you see there in the color is kind of the average fluid flow. And you see in the equation we have some du dt's, but some u's, and there's a talking about how the fluid velocity is changing in time and space. Okay, so what we can do with this is start looking at different computational models, and we can start investigating different scenarios. So sperm, as they're moving through the female reproductive tract, are going to be interacting with different walls, other swimmers, and all types of interesting scenarios. And what I have here now is just to give you an idea back to kind of the original question that our collaborator posed. What is the relevance of these different kind of motility patterns? They know the asymmetric waveform allows you to get to the sperm, the sperm is get to the egg. And here I have this movie, and I'll start it over again maybe. What we see is they all start at the same position. I have 3 different types of swimmers. And what you can see is the red one is this asymmetric kind of peculiar one. And what it's able to do is actually kind of pull away from the wall. So the other 2, when you have more of a symmetric beat form, kind of get stuck at the wall. So our thought process was, kind of our hypothesis is that this asymmetric motility is what allows the sperm to generate enough forces to kind of pull itself off of the wall. If it's not stuck against the wall, then it can actually kind of reach and fertilize the egg, which is why they see in lab experiments that that's the case. So what this model was able to do is tell us something about the role of why these sperm have these very interesting asymmetric beat forms. Other things that we can do with these modeling approaches is start to investigate kind of different types of fluids that a sperm may encounter. I don't know if you can see kind of some sperm heads actually in that image there, but these are some messy fluids that have lots of different kind of proteins, and the sperm is going to swim through a wide variety of different volume fractions. And what we can do is actually look at kind of varying this volume fraction of these fibers. And on the model simulations here, these are different model simulations. The bottom one is like no fibers, and the top one has a lot of fibers. And what you can see is that there's very different emergent beat forms. And there's a question of whether or not the sperm is able to swim through it and how fast. And what's really interesting with kind of the models and the computations is we can start to understand this relationship between swimming speeds and even figure out an optimal swimming speed and come up with relations for swimming speed in terms of the model parameters. Since I'm running out of time, I just want to show you that, or emphasize that with all of these models, we can investigate different biological processes, but we always have the need to go bigger and better, so we can kind of leverage high-performance computing platforms to also start investigating bigger problems. And just to wrap up, thanking all of the funding and all of the different graduate students and postdocs who have worked on these models.